Then Mrs. Rogers saw the furniture. "The furniture!" she cried. "Well, did I dust it well enough?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "Oh, that was such nice dusting powder." Mr. Rogers went to wash his hands. "I say," he called, "these are very unusual towels." Mrs. Rogers dashed into the bedroom. "Oh, my best towels," she said. "Well, didn't I change them enough?" asked Mrs. Amelia Bedelia. Mrs. Rogers, oops, is these 2 pages? Yeah. Mrs. Rogers went into the kitchen. "I'll cook the dinner." "Where is the rice I asked you to measure?" "Well, I put it back in the container, but I remembered it measured 4.5 inches, said Amelia Bedelia. She's showing her how much it measured. "Was the meat delivered?" asked Mrs. Rogers. "Well, yes," said Amelia Bedelia, "and I trimmed the fat just like you said. Oh, it does look nice." Mrs. Rogers rushed into the kitchen. She opened the icebox. "Lace! Ribbons! Oh dear," said Mrs. Rogers. "The chicken! You dressed the chickens?" asked Mrs. Rogers. "Yes, and I found the nicest box to put him in," said Amelia Bedelia. "Box!" exclaimed Mrs. Rogers. Mrs. Rogers hurried over to the box. She lifted the lid, and there lay the chicken. And he was just as dressed as could be. Can you see the chicken laying in there? Looks like she made him a he chicken, didn't it? Because he has little pants on. Mrs. Rogers was very angry. She opened her mouth. Mrs. Rogers meant to tell Amelia Bedelia that she was fired. But before she could get the words out, Mr. Rogers put something in her mouth. It was so good that Mrs. Rogers forgot about being angry. "Lemon meringue pie," she exclaimed. "Well, I meant it to surprise you," said Amelia Bedelia happily. So right then and there, Mr. and Mrs. Rogers decided that Amelia Bedelia must stay. And so she did. Mrs. Rogers learned to say, "Undust the furniture, unlight the lights, close the drapes," and things like that. And Mr. Rogers didn't care if Bedelia trimmed all the steaks with lace. All he cared about was having her there to make lemon meringue pie. There she goes with her pie. So that's the story of Amelia Bedelia. I just love Amelia Bedelia. I think of all those times I say things that could mean something else like that. Like, okay, let's zip it up here. Or, be careful what you say. So I will be seeing you next time.